other attacks in Iran. The group first surfaced a little more than 2 years ago. It's linked by cybersecurity experts to Iran's Ministry of Intelligence and Security.
The price of a barrel of Brent crude oil, the international standard, has topped $100 a barrel again, jolting markets just days after it spiked near $120. Oil prices shot more than 9% higher early today as supply concerns worsened with Iranian attacks on commercial shipping around the Strait of Hormuz. President Trump was asked about tapping strategic oil reserves.
Can you give us a timeline on when you're planning to tap the Strategic Petroleum Reserve, a timeline of when that could happen?
We're going to be doing it very quickly, and then we'll fill it up. We'll fill up our reserves, so we're going to tap it out.
And Energy Secretary Chris Wright was asked about the Strait of Hormuz being fully open.
Releases, certainly out of the U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve, they'll go over about 4 months. But this conflict, I don't think, goes that long. I think we will have the Straits of Hormuz open well before then. Exactly when, I can't say, but we are working 24 hours of every day to get there.
Senate Democrats are demanding public hearings with testimony from top Trump administration officials about the war with Iran. But Florida Senator Ashley Moody says this is just more complaining from Democrats because Congress is already being briefed.
And I want to remind everyone, we have been briefed. Not only have the leaders of the relevant committees and leadership in the House and Senate been briefed more often, the full Senate has been briefed by senior officials. I am sure we will be again. But it should surprise no one that they're waking up with, again, another issue where the Dems say we're going to throw a fit. And I'm not trivializing what's going on. We need to be briefed. We are being briefed.
Oklahoma Senator James Lankford says President Trump is determined on keeping the conflict in Iran from being an endless war. Chad Groening has more.
The U.S. and Israel continue to pound targets with the heaviest airstrikes yet against Iran. But President Trump says the conflict can end very soon. During a recent appearance on Washington Watch on American Family Radio, Oklahoma Senator James Lankford said the president has been focused on ending an endless war.
We've been basically at war for 47 years with Iran. We've just not pushed back. They've been attacking us relentlessly over and over in Beirut and taking hostages, attacking our embassies. We had 180 attacks from Iran just in the past 3 years on Americans. It just becomes so common that, yes, Iran and its proxies are attacking America again. It doesn't even make news in the United States. So the president's determined to end their ability to just attack us on a weekly basis over and over again and to be able to stop that.
Meanwhile, Lankford says we are facing a heightened security threat here at home.
Local law enforcement, state law enforcement, obviously federal law enforcement is in a very different posture. I would say a couple of things with this. One is we need to actually fund our federal law enforcement. Right now, Democrats are blocking all funding from going to our Department of Homeland Security. Their far left base is consumed with just defunding ICE, so much so they're taking on our national security.
I'm Chad Groening.
And finally, the Senate is set to consider a funding bill for DHS today, aimed at ending the partial government shutdown. Here's Mark Meredith.
On Capitol Hill, the Senate is expected to take another test vote to find out whether a 27-day-long government shutdown will end, or all signs are pointing to the stalemate dragging on. Republicans say the lack of money flowing to the Department of Homeland Security leaves too many government workers scrambling to get by, and it's also creating a national security crisis.
There's more news online at afn.net and download the AFN mobile app for your Apple or Android device. I'm Rusty Pugh.
The loss of a child through abortion, miscarriage, or stillbirth affects the emotional health of families. Feelings of anger, sadness, and regret can be overwhelming. There is hope and healing in the aftermath of a reproductive loss. Call the International Helpline at 866-482-LIFE to talk with someone who has been where you are and healed to help others. Your call is confidential. 866-482-LIFE.
Welcome to Today's Issues, offering a Christian response to the issues of the day. Here's your host, Tim Wildmon, President of the American Family Association.
Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. You're listening to AFR, and I'm Tim Wildman. Joining me in studio is Ed Battagliano. Good morning, Ed.
Good morning, Tim.
And Fred Jackson.
Good morning, Tim.
And joining us remotely From the Sunshine State is our good friend Dr. Ray Pritchard. How you doing, Ray?
Hey, we are rocking and rolling down here in Florida. Tim, it's 79 degrees and sunny. I can get you a tea time. Tea time anytime.
79.
Yeah,
I wish I could shoot a 79.
I'm telling you.
For those who understand golf scores, they know what I'm talking about here.
That's good score?
That's good. Well,
on the front nine? Yeah.
Not on the PGA Tour. Yeah.
On the front nine.
For a hacker
I understood that one.
For a hacker like me, I'll take a 79 every day of the week. So anyway, we thank everybody for joining us on the program today. Before we jump into some stuff to do here, two things I wanted to do. Ed, go ahead and make your announcement.
Yeah.
Your church bulletin announcement.
Church bulletin. The AFA potluck will be. No, folks, we have an April.
Do churches have potluck?
That's sarcasm there. You've been in church all your life.
You not believe in the sovereignty of God? How about the sovereignty of God dinner? I don't think we should have luck in there. So.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
See what I did there?
Yeah.
I'm teasing. I'm teasing.
The lucky part was if you got something good to eat out of one of those pots.
Right. Make us all lucky.
You were lucky.
That's right. Oh, I see what you did right there. All right. So anyway, make your announcement, Mr.
Yeah. So I'm the associate pastor, so
Right.
I'm making the announcements.
Okay.
All right. So we have our Share-a-thon coming up April 7, 8, 9. So it's really not that far off. Less than a week.
No, it's
less than a month
you can
away.
See it.
It's on the horizon.
It's up the horizon.
It's a couple of exits down the highway.
Right up there on the highway.
And what we start doing about a month out is we start asking for listener testimonies, listener stories. So we're gathering those stories to play during our spring share-a-thon. We'd like to hear from you,
Yes, we would.
our listeners. And here's the question. Has the Lord used American Family Radio in your life? And if the Lord has helped you through a hard time through American Family Radio, we'd like to hear that. Other people would like to hear that. I'll speak for myself personally. I love listener testimonies during Share-a-thon. Such an encouragement to the staff here. So please tell us how Christ has used AFR in your life. Here's how you do it. I'm going to give you the phone number in a second, but you're going to call and share for a minute or two. It does not have to be a real long testimony, short and sweet. To give us your name, where you're from. Maybe you want to mention the radio station you listen to, if you listen to one of our terrestrial radio stations, or if you listen on the app. We'd like to hear that. Share how God has used AFR in your life. You might hear yourself during Share-a-thon or in the lead up to it. Here's the number to call: 877-876-8893. 877-876-8893. You're not going to get a live person. It's going to be like an old-fashioned answering machine, and they'll give you some brief instructions. Please, again, keep your testimony to a minute or two. And again, you might hear yourself during Share-a-thon.
Ray, you got an email the other day, kind of what Ed's talking about.
You know, Tim, last week, in fact, last Thursday, I mentioned my email address and said AFR listeners could, write me with their questions. I got, I guess, maybe 5 or 6 emails, some with really heart-searching questions. And then this one came in, and I do not know where this person lives or anything about them. So let me just read this. This person says, I live most of my life apart from God. It's safe to say my life has been a battlefield. I stumbled across AFR about 3 years ago. I listened to different programs, Today's Issues, Exploring the Word, The Awakening, and others here and there, slowly being discipled. The truth you all spoke was hard to hear at times, but also allowed me to call what I have done and what I was doing exactly what it was. I was in chains. I was so lost and wasn't exactly sure why. You all called it what it was, and I was able to recognize it and turn to Jesus and repent. You all saved my life. As a result, I'm changing lives around me. My family knows AFR as my radio station. I don't trust easily, but I felt like family. I was safe, and I can trust every word is truth. I could go on and on, but I'll end with this. You all got me activated, spreading the gospel every chance I get. I'm a new creation. You all are the stars that lit up the sky and led me right to Jesus Christ.
Wow. That's I was going to say breaks my heart, but in a good way. I mean, that just makes it all worthwhile. We are thrilled when God reaches people, and radio is such a simple concept, and it can be used for nefarious purposes, but to preach the gospel, to teach God's truth and instruct people on how God calls them to live is an honor on our part.
Amen.
And especially when we hear testimonies like that.
Amen. That was we don't
Very
know,
thankful.
We don't know the person's name or where they live, but they sent that email to Ray when Ray gave his email out last week. You're listening to Today's Issues, and we pray for that individual. We don't know who it is, but we thank them for their...
Encourage our listeners to
Amen.
pray for them.
Amen. Amen. All right, Fred, what do you got?
Well, it appears the war in the Middle East right now is coming down to, and where have we heard this before in history, oil. That's what it's coming down to. Just in the last couple of hours in Tehran, a news anchor there read a statement from Iran's supreme leader, the Ayatollah Mojtaba Khomeini.
Mm-hmm.
He says that the leverage of closing the Strait of Hormuz should be used and that Iran's attacks on Gulf Arab neighbors will continue. Now, a couple of things there.
Was that a quote?
That was a quote from him. There was a picture behind the anchor of this gentleman, but he did not issue, you didn't hear him make that statement.
But no, excuse me, just one quick follow-up to that. Can I have a follow-up?
Yeah,
Can I follow
sure.
up?
Yeah.
Did he say, that last sentence you read, is that a direct quote or is that a report?
It's being presented as a direct
what
quote.
did you say? Gulf?
He says that the leverage of closing the Strait of Hormuz should be used and that Iran's attacks on Gulf Arab neighbors will continue.
I'm surprised he used that terminology. Attacks on Gulf Arab neighbors will continue. I'm surprised a little bit. But anyway.
So this all comes in news that's been coming in over the last 24 hours that Iranian drones have hit 2 to 3 vessels that were attempting to transit through that Strait of Hormuz. And also there was an attack on the Iraqi port of Basra, also by the Iranians. So it appears to be coming down to basically is that Iran sees an opening for them, jeopardize the flow of oil. That puts incredible pressure on the economies of the United States and other Western countries involved with this. In fact, what we are learning overnight is that the president has given the go-ahead for the release of oil from our strategic oil reserve. His announcement came after various Western countries announced they would be releasing about 400 million gallons from their particular oil reserves. Here's our Energy Secretary, Chris Wright, cut number 5.
Releases, certainly out of the U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve, they'll go over about 4 months. But this conflict, I don't think, goes that long. I think we will have the Straits of Hormuz open well before then. Exactly when, I can't say, but we are working 24 hours of every day to get there.
Now, what's interesting is that there's not only the drones that Iran is sending, but also the mines. And I saw a news story this morning. Most of us, when we think about mines, we get that World War II image of something floating along in the water.
Right.
Now, there are mines now that sit not only on the surface, but below the surface. In fact, there are mines now that are deep down in the water, and what they are designed that they sense a ship going overhead, and they explode. So, minesweepers, we've heard of those phrases before that go along, but how do you get at a mine that may be 100 feet below the surface that is detecting these ships that are moving. The other development this morning, and this was new to me, K.T. McFarland, former Deputy National Security Advisor to President Trump, she was on Fox and Friends this morning talking to one of the hosts, Brian Kilmeade, and they were talking about the United States is apparently allowing Iran to move its tankers through the Strait of Hormuz, taking oil to China. Have a listen to this exchange and get your reaction. Cut number 4.
Why are we letting Iran be able to ship oil to China? Why don't we stop that? We're pretty good at stopping barges. I'm sure you've seen it in Venezuela.
Yeah, we're pretty good at dealing with the Strait of Hormuz. We've been dealing with that going back to the Reagan administration, where we stopped those vessels going through. The president has said that the United States could escort our tankers through, the United States Navy. And he's also said that we, the United States, could insure. The problem is insurance. They can't get insurance because it's a war zone. We would give them the insurance. But he hadn't done either of those things yet. And what happens is Iran is letting ships go through, tankers go through, that are Iranian tankers, that are illegal ghost tankers. And the tankers just say, hey, we're on our way to China, don't bother us. And so Iran lets them through. We could stop this. We just haven't done it so far. I would urge the president to, if he wants to keep the Strait of Hormuz open, do it quicker. Do it sooner rather than later.
Yeah, there's a change of heart. There was reports earlier, and I think it came from the Energy Secretary, that we were going to escort ships through the Strait of Hormuz using our destroyers. They've changed their mind on that for some reason. So that is not happening.
We're not going to escort them?
Not going to escort with our destroyers.
Okay. Well, it's been, the Strait of Hormuz has been known, it's its choke point, and it's been known to be a vulnerability to the world's shipping through that strait, vulnerable to Iran, because Iran is basically an enemy of everyone except for bad actors. Now, I will say this: I don't think we ought to cut off oil to China. China could declare that to be an act of war. We would consider it an act of war if China set up a blockade along our western coast or the eastern coast and didn't let us trade with other people. I'm not sure why we want to provoke a conflict with China. Now, I think it's important that we let China know, and we have with this war on Iran's military, that if we wanted to, we could choke off oil coming through that strait to China. So that might help keep them in line regarding Taiwan. But I disagree. I don't think we ought to try to escalate this and cut off oil to China. And it can be difficult to keep that strait open. It's very narrow. Iran,
it's 20 miles.
Yeah,
20 miles across from, I think, from Iran to Saudi Arabia, I believe. Is that right, Ray? Do you know?
UAE, United Arab Emirates.
Yes,
Yeah.
and Dubai is at the point of that little horn there that sticks out. So it's not going to be easy to keep that open because Iran sits just north of that strait. And as long as there is a government in Iran that sees us and the West and even other Gulf states as the enemy, they could continue to try to hinder traffic through that strait.
Yep. All right, you're listening to Today's Issues on American Family Radio. Next story, Fred.
Well, the president was out campaigning in Ohio and Kentucky yesterday, but this Iran story still follows him. And at one point, he took a question about reports of sleeper cells, Iranian sleeper cells, in this country. Cut number 2. Let's listen to what he had to say.
Have you been briefed about how many Iran sleeper cells there could be inside the U.S. right now?
I have been, and a lot of people came in through Biden with this stupid open border. But we know where most of them are. We've got our eye on all of them.
Yeah, so sleeper cells. Also, there's a report that the Iranians could use unmarked ships in the Pacific to launch drones that could hit California. So that's being talked about today, too.
Yeah, Ray, any thoughts on this?
Can you imagine can you imagine seriously the escalation it would mean if there was actually an attack, Fred, like what you just said, on American soil? Unmarked ships out in the vast Pacific Ocean launching drones that hit San Jose, that hit Disneyland, that hit San Diego, that hit Coronado Beach, that hit Modesto, that hit downtown Los Angeles. That would, if the war comes to America that way, there's no getting out of it in 6 weeks or 2 months. It's going to be escalated. I mean, if we're worried about China and Russia coming in, this whole thing, it's a terrifying thought. That's my real reaction to what Fred said. It's terrifying to think about the sleeper cells being activated and a drone attack against California.
You know, we've never had a international war on our soil.
No.
In our country's history. We've had acts of terrorism. Obviously, 9/11 comes to mind. We did have the Japanese attack Pearl Harbor, which initiated our entry into into World War II. Hawaii was a state then, so that was on American soil. So, but mainland, we've never had an act that I can remember in our country's hit. Maybe the Mexican War. Maybe that was, I don't know. But you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You get my drift here?
Yeah. And listen, the danger, see, it's been, how long has this been going on? Has it been going on 2 weeks, the war with Iran?
We're at about day 12 or 13.
Okay. So that sounds like enough time for ships from Iran, maybe they were pretending to be oil tankers or whatever, getting out into the Pacific and closing in. But ships off the coast of California aren't the only way for these drones to strike. These sleeper cells can use, now they won't be the military-style drones, but they can be either, made by hand or purchased and outfitted with some explosives. You could do that from inside the United States if there are enough of these sleeper cells. I take the president at his word that we know where most of them are, keeping an eye on them. But to his point, there were an awful lot of people who came into this country under the Biden administration. We don't know where they are or who they are.
Yeah.
And that they can do other forms of sleeper cell terrorist attacks, even besides drones.
Say that again, if you would.
I don't think I can.
I
didn't even say do it that well the first time.
Well, didn't you make fun of me yesterday?
Yes, I did. Apparently, you hadn't forgotten it.
I said siren.
Siren.
And you said siren. So I thought maybe this is karma.
You know,
I don't
Tim,
think it's karma.
we talked on
It's
Tuesday.
called revenge.
Right.
We talked about how long the war is going to last. It does not feel to me today like this is going to be over in 2 weeks.
I don't think so.
It feels like it's going to drag on for a while.
We need internal help in Iran. Now, we could stop it. We could say, Tim mentioned this morning during our story meeting or soon afterwards, we could say, okay, we've done enough damage. If the Iranians want to overthrow this government, they're going to have to do it.
Right.
But if Iran starts rebuilding its missile program and its nuclear program, we'll be right back here.
Right.
You'll see the aircraft carriers coming. We'll do it again. But we're done for now.
I think that's the approach to me.
He could do that.
I think the American people would favor that. We're not into Afghanistan and Iraq all over again. Okay, no boots on the ground. Now, you might have to use special operations in some kind of situation that's kind of understandable. It would still depend on the situation. The president and his team would have to explain why we're doing what we're doing there. But I'm talking about occupying with forces. No, nobody's for that.
Now, if this new Iranian leader, the Ayatollah Mojtaba, is that how you pronounce his name? Mojtaba Khomeini, if he says, well, just because of what the U.S. and Israel have done, we're going to keep the Strait of Hormuz closed, then that makes that
well,
forces
it makes the whole world
hand.
mad, though. That makes the whole world mad.
It sounds like the Iranian leadership does not care.
Yeah. Speaking of him, is he even alive? This guy, this son of the new Ayatollah Khomeini. I'm just going to call him that. I don't know how to pronounce his proper name. but he's out. The word Ayatollah, is that not, Ray? Is that not like the word president or pope,
right?
Or prime minister?
It's a title.
A title,
right? It's
transferable.
Yeah, it's a spiritual title, right?
It's a transferable title for their religious leader, the
Absolutely.
Ayatollah. And this guy is the son of the one that was killed 10 days ago.
Yeah,
who was the leader? But this guy here, they're saying he may be in the hospital, half dead himself. Right?
Well, the fact that the news anchor just had a picture of him and read this is just feeding into the speculation that he is either severely injured or, as you say, Tim, possibly he's dead.
Yeah, I know that, I mean, between the Israeli and the American attacks, a lot of the leadership in Iran has been taken out.
Yeah.
So
we need, in order for this to be the best possible outcome, the U.S. and Israel, we need internal help from forces inside Iran who take over the government and who say no more radical nutcases running the government. We are going to stop supporting terrorist organizations around the world. We're not going to try to get a nuclear weapon. We want to make Iran great again or something.
This is the we've all used this expression, easier said than done.
Yeah.
That is definitely applicable here because we talked about this yesterday. What you're going to have, there's two options. One is you have a military coup against the religious leadership of the Ayatollah and his the mullahs. You could have, but somebody's got to have to initiate that. Somebody has to be the first one that says, let's go. And that person could be, they themselves could be then executed. And
if it fails.
If it fails. Like you said, if you're going to take out the king, you better
not miss.
Better not miss.
Well, and listen, it would, even if the military did that, there would be a time of civil war because anytime you have a dictatorship, which is what the Ayatollahs, Khomeini had, and what they've had there since 1979, they've had a dictatorship being run by religious leaders. And my understanding is there were thousands of loyal supporters of the regime in government places, had a shadow government. I mean, you had the Gestapo helping the Nazis. You had secret police. That's what they have, secret police in Iran. So all those loyalists know they can't just let a coup succeed because then they're going to be before courts. They're going to be hung for what they did. They're going to fight, and there'll be a time of civil war. That's not an easy thing to get through.
The second option is a civil war where the people rise up and go to war in the streets with the Ayatollah's army.
Yeah.
And the police, the secret police and everything.
That's a lot to ask.
Especially when you don't have guns.
Right.
When you don't have guns. So it's easy to say, well, now, all right, Iranians, take your government back. Well, all right, I'm going to go outside here and start taking my government back. Boom.
Yeah.
You're dead, and your whole family's dead.
Yep.
That's how it works. So these people are in a precarious situation over there in Iran. We'll be back momentarily with more of today's issues on American Family Radio.
It's my turn.
Here is your host for My Turn, Don Wildmon.
Somewhere I came across a story which kind of took me by surprise. It's the story of a man who was being checked by the Internal Revenue Department concerning his income tax return. And in that respect, he had something in common with many of us, for occasionally our Uncle Sam wants to see the proof that we did what we said we did with our money. It seems as though this particular gentleman was being asked to produce records which substantiated some of his claims made when he filed his income tax return. The fellow who was doing the questioning was rather short and rude with the man, and was actually treating the man as though he'd told a lie about every deduction made on his return. When questioned about his travel expenses, the gentleman produced records which showed that he'd spent exactly what he said he had spent. Then the Internal Revenue agent asked him to produce records concerning his medical expenses. The gentleman reached into his file, pulled out his medical expenses statements, and laid them on the table before the agent. Upon close examination, the agent found that the man had had extremely high medical expenses that year due to the illness of his wife. But the records were in order, and it was evident that he had spent exactly what he had said he spent on medical expenses. Going on down the line of deductions, the agent came upon the gentleman's gifts to his church. "All right," said the agent, "let's see your records on what you gave to the church." The comment was made in a rather derogatory manner and carried with it a suggestion that it was at this point that the gentleman had lied about his tax deductions. The fellow again reached down into his file, pulled out his canceled checks, made out to his church, and laid those on the table. One by one, adding them as he went, the agent examined the checks. Upon adding the total amount, the agent found that the gentleman had given to the penny that which he had said he had given. Half apologizing and half angry because he had not found an error, the agent explained, "I had to check your records. I didn't believe you had given that much to your church. That's more than 10% of your total income. Lots of folks say they give a lot to the church, but when an examination is made, it's a whole lot less. I just didn't believe that you had given that much to your church," the agent concluded. "I didn't think you would," was the gentleman's only reply. The agent didn't know exactly what he meant by it, but let it slide. The following Sunday, the tax agent felt a need to attend church. He didn't go very much, but felt, since he was in a trying period of life, that he would at least give it a try. As the offering plate passed, he dropped a dollar bill into the plate. As he did, he saw a check in the plate written by the man he had questioned just that week. Looking up, he saw the gentleman sitting in the pew in front of him. Looking back down at the offering plate again, he saw his dollar beside the man's check. Suddenly, the full impact of the gentleman's closing statement dawned on him. "I didn't think you would." You know, we have a terrible tendency to judge others by our own stinginess.
This has been My Turn with Don Wildmon, a production of the American Family Association.
The Lord is good, a stronghold in the day of trouble, and he knows those who take refuge in him. Nahum 1, verse 7.
American Family Radio. This is Today's Issues. Email your comments to comments@afr.net. Past broadcasts of Today's Issues are available for listening and viewing in the archive at afr.net. Now, back to more of Today's Issues.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. You're listening to AFR. I'm Tim Wildman with Ed Vitagliano and Fred Jackson and Ray Pritchard. And we have a guest in studio, don't we, Ed?
We do. Heidi Olson, who I'm going to let her tell some of what these initials stand for. It looks like RN, maybe registered nurse.
Correct.
But she's got a bunch of letters after her name. But she's founder and president of Paradigm Shift Training and Consulting. The reason we have Heidi on is that American Family Studios has produced a video in its Impact series titled The Heidi Olson Story. Now, we do want to give a content warning to our listeners for this segment because today's discussion touches on sensitive topics involving children and sexual exploitation, pornography, some of those kinds of issues. So parents, make appropriate adjustments. Send the kids outside to play or do something like that. But you will want to hear what this interview is about and about the Heidi Olson story. So Heidi, welcome to Today's Issues. I know you've been on the air several times already today on American Family Radio.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me.
What all these initials?
Where's home first?
So I live in Kansas City right now. Kansas City, Missouri. Go Chiefs.
Well, Ray, there's Ray right there. You see Ray right there?
Hi. Hello, Heidi.
Hi.
He's in
Go
Florida,
Chiefs.
but he lives in Kansas City.
Amazing. Hello.
Yeah.
So all these initials, RN, MSN, CPN, Sane P, what all those stand for?
Yeah, so it just basically means that I've taken a bunch of tests and they say I'm competent.
All right.
But I'm a certified pediatric nurse and a sexual assault nurse examiner specifically to take care of pediatric patients.
Okay.
Why would you want to do that?
Must be a calling.
Yes, absolutely. I really felt drawn to taking care of vulnerable populations, and that's what made me go into forensic nursing.
I mean, I'm kidding in the sense that I'm just teasing you about it, but I'm glad that you do it. Praise God, because and as says, you do have to have a calling, but it isn't something people go down the career list and go,
right.
I'd like to do that. That sounds rewarding.
Because it's got to be very dark.
So why are you here? Why are you here in Tupelo?
Yeah, so I'm here to help promote the Impact Series, which it's
Right.
been such an honor to be a part of that. But really what my goal, my mission is to raise awareness around how pornography is impacting kids. And if you had asked me when I graduated from nursing school, do you want to become a nurse and talk about porn? I would have been like, never. I do not want that job. And yet I've seen so deeply how this is traumatizing kids that I've just felt like I can't be quiet. I have to say something. So I appreciate the opportunity to be able to talk about it.
So you in your professional experience, you've seen, draw that out a little bit here.
Yeah, so no one talked to me about pornography when I became a forensic nurse, but I started to see the way it was impacting kids so horrifically that
How young?
So I've seen kids as young as 3 be exposed to pornography. It's everywhere online.
Okay.
So they can just accidentally, click something or a pop-up ad comes up, but they're not even looking for it, and it exposes them. But what I really was seeing as a forensic nurse were young kids, 11, 12, 13-year-old boys are sexually assaulting younger kids or same-aged peers because they're acting out what they're seeing in porn, which of course makes sense. Kids imitate what they see.
Right.
So if I'm spending hours watching this violent pornographic material on my phone in my room and no one knows, then I maybe acted out on my 5-year-old sister. And then everyone's like, whoa, what happened? Well, it stands to reason if I'm consuming this all the time, I end up acting it out. And so we're just seeing that over and over with kids.
So there are a couple of things here, because everyone's horrified by the thought that young kids are being assaulted in any way. We all get upset if you see a parent yelling at their kid in a store, okay? And folks, that's why we gave the content warning here. So, but setting that aside for just a second, there is damage that occurs to kids who just stumble upon pornography. A lot of it's violent. It's everywhere. Yeah, I have 5 grandchildren. Their parents, my son and daughter-in-law, extremely careful about the access that their kids have to the internet. You've probably seen this. I've seen my grandkids at a very young age, 2 years, 3 years old, whatever. They know how to swipe a screen on Mimi's phone or on somebody's phone. It's very easy for them to just stumble upon just regular pornography, which is dangerous enough. So what is the likelihood that a kid will stumble across pornography at a young age?
It's extremely high. I don't know that I want to give an exact percentage, but what I tell parents is if your child has access to a device, meaning do you hand them your phone, right? Like they don't have to have their own device. There's a very high chance they will see pornography. If you think about it, the porn industry, this billion-dollar money-making machine, they are a business. They want to expose kids to pornography. It's intentional because the younger you expose a child to pornography, the more likely you'll have a lifelong user. So if you're trying to get those lifelong users that are going to be paying money and
it's like a drug.
Exactly. Start young. So I've heard of kids that are on something that maybe is quote unquote safe, like YouTube Kids. Porn pops up, cartoon porn pops up, right? Exposes them, pop-up ads, whatever it may be. Someone sends something to them on social media. There's so many ways kids get exposed where they're not even looking for it. And so you can be the most vigilant parent in the world, but if your kid goes to a sleepover, maybe they get shown pornography, or on the school bus, something like that. So it's really important to talk to kids about it because you cannot safeguard every single thing in the world.
All right, we are our guests. That voice you hear, it's a pleasant voice as opposed to the old crabby guys that are usually on this program. That's Heidi Olson. She is I'm going to let her describe her title, but she is founder and president of Paradigm Shift Training and Consulting. The reason we have Heidi on, she's been on AFR already today. We may try to get blood out of a rock and keep her on the air all day. I don't know what the plans are, but we are promoting the 5th episode of American Family Studios' Impact Series. This one we're talking about is the Heidi Olson story. All right. Now, you can go to the website to get access to this video, afa.net/protect, afa.net/protect. Now, you do have to donate at this point to watch the video. If you want to wait a few weeks or so, I'm not sure how long that time period goes on, it will eventually be free to watch. But if you want to get access today, and I do recommend that you do. It's a powerful, it's about 30-minute episode. Go to afa.net.
Is it a donation of any amount?
I think so.
Yeah. Go to afa.net.
afa.net/protect if you want to watch that today. So Heidi, and then I'm going to let Ray jump in, or Fred. They may have questions as well.
I'm here too.
You and I have been, we've been talking.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Please tell your official what you do. The medical, you're registered trauma nurse. Say that again.
Yeah, I'm a sexual assault nurse examiner. My
Okay.
specialty is in pediatrics, so kids 0 to 17.
So you would be called if there was a case that might involve sexual assault. You would be brought in
to testify in court?
professional
I do testify in court.
capacity.
Yep, collect
Like
forensic
Law and Order.
evidence. Yes, much less exciting than Law and Order, but yes.
Yeah. Well, bless you. To things you have to see and observe and talk about in your professional life. Just somebody has to do it, and I'm glad you do this. We're talking to Heidi Olson. So, Ed, how can people go and watch the video again?
Well, you can go to afa.net/protect, afa.net/protect. And by the way, folks, this is part of what AFA does. This ministry, very early on in the late 70s and early 80s, went to war against pornography. That was television and pornography that was sold in convenience stores, even to kids. And so this has been a concern of AFA since its inception. And I don't know if Fred or Ray have questions.
Heidi, you've outlined the problem. It's serious, widespread. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about prevention. Mm-hmm. Let's talk about responsibility. Parental, comes to mind. But also, like, there are some states that are taking action now. Talk a little bit about this.
Yeah, what I love about the Impact series is they did such a good job of ending it on a note of hope, and I'm grateful for that because it is so overwhelming and so dark. And I think the reality is we have to keep that perspective of hope. We serve an amazing God. He has already won the war. He sees this, right? Like, this is not a lost cause, even when it feels like it. And so I think it's important to keep that in mind. But with parents, you are the frontline prevention for this. And I know so many of your listeners already are hypervigilant, which is great, but we have to start having conversations. So a lot of parents, it's like, they're too young. I don't want to. I don't know what to do. If they have access to a device, you have to talk to them. And it can just be really small touch points throughout the week. It doesn't have to be this big, long lecture, just 2 minutes. Hey, remember, if you see anything like this that makes you uncomfortable, tell mom and dad. Because if they see something, they know, okay, I'm not in trouble. There's not shame. We can talk about it. We can externalize it. Versus a kid who sees it, they keep it inside. I can't tell anyone. And then 5 years down the road, it's like, oh, why is my kid struggling with suicidal ideations and anxiety and depression? Oh, they've been seeing hardcore porn for 5 years, haven't felt like they could tell anyone. We want to stop it before that ever happens. So having those conversations in age-appropriate ways, huge prevention. But then on a larger scale, to your point, I've testified in lots of different states on age verification laws to basically say you have to prove you're 18 to view this content, which makes sense. You'd have to do it in a store, right? There's varied responses. Some states are so on it, they care about it. Some states are like, whatever. Or I've even heard people in legislation argue for why it's good for kids to see pornography.
You know, kidding, really?
Yes, that sort of the only way that certain populations of kids are going to learn about sex is if they see it in porn, which I know just defies all logic.
Ray, excuse me, Heidi, I know Ray wanted to jump in here and have a question.
Yeah.
Ray, go ahead.
Yeah, Heidi, I was just to follow up exactly what you're talking about. So let's suppose we're talking parents with kids under the age of 12. Mm-hmm. Set those parameters. What do you do if and to make this more real life, we'll just say you haven't had those conversations, which you should have, but you haven't.
Sure.
And what are you looking for? You care about your kids. What are you looking for? What are the signs, if there are any, things to think about with your children? They may have been exposed to hardcore pornography and you didn't know anything about it.
Yeah, that's such a great question. So there are signs. I would say the first thing is keep calm, no matter what. If you freak out, that is going to just... they're not going to want to disclose. Yeah. But things you may see is they're withdrawn, they're isolated. Maybe they shut their device down around you, or they go into the bathroom for a long time with their device and shut the door. They're in their bedroom for a long time with their device and shut the door. Like there's secrecy around their device. You may see them starting to have sexual behaviors that are not normal, or saying sexual words that are not normal, that maybe they don't even understand that it's a pornography connotation. They may start struggling with mental health issues, so anxiety, depression, self-harm, all of those things. Or maybe you're finding, pictures on their phone that they're taking of themselves. I've heard a lot of parents that they're filming themselves because that's what they're watching, so their kids are filming themselves masturbating, things like that, because they're imitating what they're seeing. Or again, they're acting out on other kids. So I think there's lots of signs that can happen without a child overtly disclosing.
That's just heartbreaking to contemplate. These kids are so young.
How about just not giving them a device? What about that one?
Yeah, I think the longer we can delay devices, better for so many reasons. Because not only is there the porn factors, there's so many predators online. It's addicting. There's cyberbullying.
You hear about the predators that get in touch with kids on games, on gaming sites, not pornography sites, but gaming sites.
Right.
And you hear about them there. So when I said what I just said about how about just not getting the devices, I do believe that is you can do that up until a certain age,
right.
And then because my kids are working through this with my grandchildren, and when do we give them a device? What are the stipulations? What are the limitations? What kind of filters? All these kinds of questions. A lot of them of what you brought up to prevent them from being. The other thing you go is, well, it may not be my grandkid or my kid,
right.
But they're going to go spend the night with them, or they're going to be hanging out with them at the party. And some kids somewhere, parents aren't going to be as vigilant as. I mean, that's just the real world as it is. So there's just a lot of minefields out there.
Yeah.
But I mean, when I said just don't give them a device, maybe that's
you feel like that's you want to protect them, isolate them.
I would delay it as long as you possibly can. I know kids need phones for or iPads or whatever, for various and sundry innocent reasons, or for studies.
Yeah.
Or hey, mom, texting, letting the parents know, hey, you can pick me up from practice now. I mean, there's just you can't avoid it. You're not going to be able to avoid it, but the dangers are out there. as Heidi warns about, and you don't want young, impressionable minds having their lives ruined or warped because parents or grandparents or we don't know what's going on.
Right.
We don't. But she gave the signs.
Yeah.
Of why. So.
Yeah.
Do you have one other question?
I do want to just kind of wrap this up. We'll let Heidi take a breather from her radio duties
some
here.
good popcorn down the hall, Heidi.
Get
Great.
some coffee
Really good.
or
Check
something.
it out.
So we are talking with Heidi Olson, who's president and founder of Paradigm Shift Training and Consulting. Going to ask you to tell our listeners what that ministry does, or that operation does, and give your website. But she is featured in the 5th episode of American Family Studios' Impact series, The Heidi Olson Story.
It's a video series.
It is a video series, and you can watch it by going to afa.net/protect. For the time being, we are asking for a donation for you to be able to watch that. Down the road, especially if you're a Great Commission partner, all that kind of stuff you'll be able to watch that for free if you want to wait. So Heidi, tell us about Paradigm Shift Training and Consulting, what that does, what you do when you're not being forced to talk on the radio on AFR, and give the website so folks can check it out if they want to contact you and bring you in for something to speak, because you speak all the time. Give that information to our listeners.
Yeah, so I started my business about 4 years ago with the aim of educating anyone who will listen on these topics, trafficking, exploitation, pornography, child abuse. They're all interconnected. I do a lot of training with healthcare workers because, of course, that's my background. But I also train churches, community members, kind of whoever will bring me in. I'm happy to talk about my expertise and the connections I'm seeing and real-time trends with kids. So tomorrow I'm going to Birmingham. We're actually having a first-of-its-kind conference for therapists to teach them, if a kid's being exposed to pornography, here's how you work with them. So obviously it's me and a bunch of therapists who are putting on this conference, which is awesome. So I'm just working on lots of projects like that. And my website is paradigmshifttc.com. So feel free to go on there. You can contact me on my website, and I am happy to help however I can.
Yeah, one connection we got here is the Las Cruces.
That's true.
Yeah. New Mexico.
Yeah.
Y'all were talking before we went on the air. About
because Heidi is originally from Las Cruces.
Yes.
A lot of folks don't know this because I talk about Boston, but my dad moved the whole family when I was at Boston College to Las Cruces, New Mexico. And she was just saying, from southern New Mexico, Las Cruces. And I said, well, we all became Christians. My family became Christians in New Mexico.
Yeah,
So,
my parents did too. That's really interesting.
Yeah. So, all right.
Wow.
So if you're wondering how to spell paradigm, okay, that's PARADIGM shift.
Correct.
ShiftTC.
.com.
All right, to find out more information. You can probably just search. Maybe you could search for Heidi Olson.
Yep.
That's OLSON. To get more information. Invite her. She is very knowledgeable, as you'll note when you see the video, the Heidi Olson story.
Yeah.
But she'll be a wealth of knowledge. One absolute last question. You say you're going to talk to therapists. Is there more openness within the healthcare community to talk about issues like pornography? For a long time, I assume that professional community thought this is just a right-wing conservative Christian issue. Are they more open to this as a real present danger to kids especially?
It really varies group to group. Some groups are so on board and like, let's do it and let's tackle this. And some groups are so resistant to it. And it is hard to say exactly why or pinpoint exactly who's for it and who's against it. But sometimes I get buy-in and sometimes I don't.
Okay. Well, thank you, Heidi,
I got one
so
other
much.
comment about that.
Yeah.
For years, the American Psychological Association, I guess it was, and the American Psychiatric Association, and maybe the Pediatric Association as well. But I remember reading, they would annually condemn violence in the media because they said that, and they would condemn sexual violence in the media.
Yeah.
Because, and documenting its impact on children in particular.
Right.
But they were always a little hesitant you would never read just outright, sex images or pornography images and the impact that would have. But I've seen that I have seen that. I have seen that more. So, because I always wondered why, if you're going to acknowledge that media influence on children can happen at all, which is common sense, but then you have to acknowledge it can happen both in the violent category, in the sexual category, and sometimes, as you mentioned, merging of. So, listen, we all know that children are impressionable. We all have memories of trauma, things that happened in our lives, and that were images or were experiences. So we're all impacted by that. So anyway, thank you so much, Heidi. Appreciate it. We wish you the best. We'll pray for you. Somebody has to do your job. That's a tough, difficult job to do, and we thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, you're listening to Today's Issues on America. That's spiritual warfare, what we're talking about right here. We've been talking about physical warfare, Ray. We're talking about spiritual warfare right here.
Yeah. Well, what Heidi is doing, what her ministry is doing, invading the realm of darkness.
That's right.
In Jesus' name. There's going to be a battle every time. And God bless you, Heidi, for what you are doing.
All right, Fred, what's your next story there?
Well, we've been talking about Iran, the impact, and as time goes on, a lot of people feel it's going to be a political liability for the administration, especially we're in an election year. And certainly Democrats like Chuck Schumer, Senator Chuck Schumer, Richard Blumenthal, and Elizabeth Warren think they have an election winner by pointing out that this is a war they say the American people do not want. However, I'm going to play their clip, but also a reaction this morning from an Iranian escapee, Juliana Taimorazi. And she says, and is encouraging, she says to President Trump, and Iranians want President Trump to continue this war because it means freedom for them. Cut number 6.
Americans don't want war, not Republican voters, not independent voters, not even many of Donald Trump's MAGA base.
Americans don't want this war. Americans are sick and tired of forever wars, and there's no timeline here, no seeming end game, no strategy for what success is.
This is not a war the American people want us to engage in. This is not a war supported by this country, and this is not a war that makes us safer.
No, I actually oppose what the Democrats, the Democratic leadership is saying. Absolutely. The IRGC, the Islamic Republic of Iran, has been a murderous government. It has impacted the lives of so many across the world. You know, Ainsley, their philosophy is of Muslim Brotherhood. And they have, as we know, wreaked havoc in Lebanon, in Syria, by Hamas, by creating Hamas.
Yeah, she is, by the way, a Christian who escaped Iran. She, in the interview this morning, she talked to friends this morning in Tehran, and they are all saying the message to Netanyahu, the message to President Trump, you must continue this war.
Well, these people have hope, maybe for the first time in a long time.
President said hope is on the way. Help is on the way.
Help is on the way.
Yeah.
So, like we talked about earlier in the program, I'm not sure how this ends or how Trump can get this done. But, folks, hey, pray. Pray that God will intervene. There are a growing number of Christians in Iran. So we want them all to become Christian.
Amen. All right, we're going to take a short time out right here. We'll be back with more. Steve Paisley Jordahl will join us in just a few minutes. And we will continue our conversations. But we've got a lot more topics to cover that are in the news. Stay with us.
The views and opinions expressed in this broadcast may not necessarily reflect those of the American Family Association or American Family Radio.
Faith, family, freedom. American Family Radio.
It's been proven again and again and again.
Bert Harper.
The verification of the dates, the verification of the genealogies, it puts spiritual iron in my spiritual blood to know that we can depend upon the Word of God.
Exploring the Word, weekday afternoons at 3 Central on American Family Radio. This is American Family Radio, a listener-supported ministry of the American Family Association.
American Family News, I'm Rusty Pugh. A deadly tornado swept through parts of Illinois and Indiana yesterday. Chanley Painter has the latest.
Newton County officials confirmed that an elderly couple was killed in their home in Lake Village, Indiana. Folks there are without power as line workers have rolled in to try to restore electricity as soon as possible. But first, crews have to move downed power poles off the closed roadways, so many of which are not passable. One local resident summed up the damage for Fox Weather.
The house behind us got hit really bad. The walls were ripped off, siding. It's horrible. There's buildings ripped up, cars are damaged.
And back in Kankakee, Illinois, where this same tornado first touched down, the sheriff's office reports extensive damage with trees uprooted, windows shattered, vehicles smashed, and roofs torn off.
Unrelenting attacks and the price of oil back on the rise.
2 oil tankers are up in flames near Iraq, with 1 crew member reportedly dead as Iran continues to target ships off its coast. Another vessel was hit off the coast of the UAE. More attacks near Bahrain's main airport and targeting a Saudi oil field. The price of oil is back up above $100 a barrel. That's despite the International Energy Agency's record-breaking decision yesterday to release 400 million barrels of reserve supply. That's about what the world consumes in 4 days. In Israel, sirens woke residents before dawn in Jerusalem to warn of incoming Iranian missiles. Jonathan Savage, Fox News.
President Trump tells Americans yesterday that oil prices will come down after the war with Iran is over. Since shipping companies are reluctant to pass through the Strait of Hormuz, he promises the government will release oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to ease some of that pressure. BlackRock CEO Larry Fink says he's focused on the long term and doesn't give much attention to the short-term market volatility. But he says the world can come out of this with drastically cheaper oil.
If the outcome of the war is a neutralized Iran, and they are allowed to be, selling products into the market again, oil products into the market again, I mean, there's probably a great probability that oil is going to be below 50.
The United Nations Security Council adopted a Bahrain-led resolution to condemn Iran's retaliatory strikes on its Middle East neighbors. 13 of 15 members voted in favor, and 135 nations co-sponsored the measure. U.S. Ambassador to the UN, Mike Waltz, notes the United Nations has long been neutral on U.S. activity in the Middle East up until Iran launched its retaliatory attacks.
They are standing together. There's no disagreement amongst them, and they are publicly on the world stage condemning Iran and calling them out.
A former FBI chaplain and pastor says Iran is a constitutional theocracy, and most people do not understand that.
A headline in All Israel News says experts warn Iran's new leader is obsessed with end times, believes himself to be prophesied figure paving the way for the Mahdi. Gino Geraci is the founding pastor of Calvary South Denver and was a guest on AFR's Jenna Ellis in the Morning.
The article gets it exactly right, that this new supreme leader is obsessed with the end times and sees himself as a kind of prophetic fulfillment.
Geraci said Iran is a constitutional theocracy and that most people do not understand that. He said most of the Western world has misunderstood the country's identity and mission as a state.
What it means is that their whole government is centered around a theological mission, and that is to bring about the Mahdi. Just like Christians believe that Jesus is going to return, Shia Muslims believe that the Mahdi, the rightly guided person, is going to come back. And so their clerical leadership believes that it is incumbent upon them to act and behave in such a way that they can fulfill that mission. This new Khamenei Jr., they believe he might be the prophetic fulfillment of 3 individuals who are going to precede the coming of the Mahdi.
Geraci says the way to bring a just kingdom and final judgment, in their view, is to bring it about by sowing chaos through global conflict. I'm Robert Thornton.
More news online at afn.net and the AFN mobile app. I'm Rusty Pugh.
As we watch world events unfold and fulfill Scripture,
It's hard to believe anyone could doubt God and His Word are real, and yet there are so many who either question or completely refuse to believe it. The God Who Speaks is a 90-minute documentary that hits the doubt head-on with evidence that proves God is real and His Word is the ultimate authority. Watch it anytime and invite others to watch with you. Just visit stream.afa.net. That's stream.afa.net.
Today's Issues continues on AFR with your host, Tim Wildmon, President of the American Family Association.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to Today's Issues on the American Family Radio Network. Thanks for listening to AFR. Tim, Ed, and Ray. And now Steve Paisley-Jordahl joins us. Good morning, Steve.
Hey, everybody.
What do you got, Steve?
Well, let me just start with some breaking news. We don't know a whole lot about this. This shooting happened at 11 a.m. Eastern, so it was right about the time we came on the air. Gunman is dead, and 2 are injured at Old Dominion University in Virginia. And that's about all we know at this point. The university's canceled the classes for the remainder of the day. No idea anything about motive or how the gunman died. And I will say that often, in fact, regularly, when these things break, the numbers we hear about wounded and dead and everything are often wrong. So I say this advisedly, early in the information flow out of this is 2 injured and a gunman dead after a shooting at Old Dominion. That's all
in
we know.
Virginia.
In Virginia.
I'm not sure what town Old Dominion University's in. Do you know?
I don't. If Steve's going to look it up. The only other thing I've seen is from the New York Post. It just says the gunman opened fire in the technology building at the Public Research College. Oh, in Norfolk. Okay, so that must be where it's located.
All right, next story, Steve.
All right. I wanted to do some. I have a couple serious stories that don't involve the war, but I wanted to just kind of on a lighter note say that we have found our Baghdad Bob. You remember Baghdad Bob?
I do.
Yeah. You remember, Ray? Yeah. This is the guy during the Iraq War that would sit on camera and say, "Oh, the Iraqi forces are wiping the map they're wiping the U.S. forces off of the map, and we're going to have a great victory." Well, there is a advisor to the first Ali Khamenei, the one that was killed. His name is Yahya Rahim Safavi. And,
say that backwards, Steve.
I'm looking at it. I can read it backwards. Anyway.
Sounds Japanese to me.
Well, he's not. This is what he's saying. He's saying that the United States forces have been humiliated, and that the conflict is moving towards a decisive victory. Not only Iran, but China and Russia would emerge as winners in this war, and their economies will flourish. And it's a decisive victory for the Islamic Republic, and Iran will be imposing demands on the U.S.
So he's a Democrat.
Yeah.
Because it sounds a lot like what the Democrats are saying.
I think he might be.
12 days in, and they're saying, this is a quagmire.
This one also reminds me of, you remember the famous CNN reporter with the fires ablaze of buildings behind him in the backdrop, and he's going, this is a mainly peaceful protest. It's just a denial of reality. Of course, propaganda has been used down throughout history. This fella, I don't know if he had a press conference. I doubt it. He probably just issued a statement, we're doing Allah's will and all this, the typical.
This is Tehran Yahya.
Tehran Yahya.
Instead of Baghdad Bob.
Yahya.
Yeah, no, that Baghdad Bob fella, he'd come out there every day and say how Iraq was winning the war. While
they were getting annihilated.
I know.
And he would...
Hey,
just
doing his job. Get paid to do a job. Walk out there and do a job. Okay, Steve.
All right. Going to California, Governor Gavin Newsom has been warned seriously by three different energy companies that do business in the state of California. Marathon Petroleum, PBF Energy, and Chevron all have sent him separate warnings that he is killing any oil and gas efforts in California.
You mean exploration or production, or what are you talking about?
Well, they have what's known as the California Air Resources Board that does cap and trade. Basically, it imposes restrictions on oil. It makes oil companies bid for. They have to buy carbon trade-offs, and it just makes it very, very, very expensive. They want to kill the oil and gas in California because they'd like to go to some kind of solar, renewable, or whatever energy. It won't work, and he's being told this. He's being told that.
Who's he?
Gavin Newsom is being told. The governor of California is being told by these 3 different petroleum companies separately that the bill that they're looking at a CARB amendment bill, will inevitably drive in-state refining capacity to 0. It will be a death knell. Now, you may know that Gavin Newsom has been blaming the rise in cost, the cost of gasoline in California. I've seen $7 a gallon on some poster boards. It has been going up, and Gavin Newsom is turning around saying, look what Trump's war is doing to us. No, it was going up before Trump's war.
Right.
And
because of state taxes.
Right. Well,
a lot of it.
Yes, because of all of this. And so he's become a little bit quiet because he even did a price gouging bill in California to try to blame that. But so California is looking at a huge problem with energy and with gas.
Bless their hearts.
I know. Listen, this would be a death knell to the economy in California. California's economy would suffer greatly if the oil production completely went away.
Well, because if gas and diesel prices go, skyrocket, a lot of the economy in California, like really across the country, is based on trucking. And the trucks coming out of California with vegetables and other kinds of produce alone are a huge part of their economy. And if they can't afford to go out, or companies go out of business, you're right. This would be a blow. And they're already maybe the one state in the country with the greatest amount of emigration, people leaving the state, moving elsewhere around the country. You're just going to make companies galore leave the state, which destroys their tax base as well.
By the way, do not forget, it is widely thought, Ray, that Gavin Newsom is running for president. What he's doing in California, I think he would do to the rest
for
of
the
us.
whole country, right? Some of those people leaving California are coming all the way across to Florida. And I was the other day getting my hair cut and talking with my political advisor as she was cutting my hair, right? And she's a native. I don't know her name. I never met her before, but she was cutting my hair. She's a native Floridian. And I asked her what she thought about all these people coming from New York, Illinois, and California to Florida because it's the free state of Florida and all that. And she said they can come, but leave their politics behind.
Yeah, they don't, though.
That's the problem, isn't it?
They don't, yeah. It's amazing. Listen, when I was growing up in New Hampshire, lived in the Boston area for a while, but then my dad moved the family across the state line to New Hampshire because everyone called the Bay State Taxachusetts. Okay, so moved across the state line to Nashua, New Hampshire, and that was a red state. That was a pretty conservative state, but so many people over the decades have moved from Massachusetts right across the state line to New Hampshire because you can still commute into Boston to do work, but they bring their politics with them. And now New Hampshire is purplish to blue, mostly a blue state.
Okay.
And that's what liberals do. They bring their politics, not connecting the dots that the reason they're leaving is because they voted a certain way.
As of Tuesday morning, what's today, Thursday?
Thursday.
As of Tuesday morning, California's average price is $5.29 per regular gallon. Now, which was 80 cents higher than it was a month ago, according to this report. So what's it What's it in the Tampa area there, Ray? Gallon.
Oh, let's see. Right now, it's probably about, and it's gone up, right?
Yeah, it is.
But if we were down well under $3. Now it's up over $3, maybe $3.20, $3.25, $3.30, something like that.
Well, but before the war started, so this does cause gas prices to go up. I was paying $2.49 a gallon, and now it's gone up probably 80 cents. A lot of people get frustrated because they say, well, how come prices don't come down when the price of oil per what did I was going to say, per drum?
The barrel? You got a barrel?
Yeah, that's it.
You call it a drum if you want to. Drum's also a fish.
I know.
And you can also put drum in a barrel and shoot barrel in a drum.
Hey, let me revise my answer here, by the way, while you guys are talking about fish and drums or whatever. Clearly, I haven't filled up my tank in a while because it was under $3, then it was $3.25. It's now here in Tampa, or north of Tampa, $3.70, $3.80.
Yeah,
a gallon. What is it? What is it here? I got to fill up today.
I filled up about 4 or 5 days ago. It at that time was $3.20 something, but I'm sure it's gone up above $3.50. Just driving past gas stations, it may be up like Ray is saying.
Yeah. All right, Steve, next story.
All right.
That's enough California talk right there.
Let's talk pro-life. When the Dobbs decision was passed, it was a great day, and it was a good happening. The Dobbs decision making every taking
Roe versus Wade was overturned.
Roe versus Wade was overturned, and states got to do their own abortion law.
Right.
Well, about the same time, the abortion industry decided that they were going to start shipping pills out to homes so that people could do abortions at home, and it has caused the abortion rate to climb even higher than before the Dobbs was overturned. There are more abortions now than there was before.
But not at clinics.
No. These are at home. It's very
abortuaries, as some people call them. Yeah.
Correct. And there's a lot of sometimes as much as 10% of the women who are shipped these pills have some kind of complication. Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri is introducing a bill which is called the Safeguarding Women from Chemical Abortion Act. He's got a co-sponsor, Andy Biggs, in the House. And this bill would make it illegal to ship the abortion pill mifepristone over the mail.
By the way,
home abortion's illegal.
Okay, just as an aside, Walmart told us that they were not going to sell the abortion pill, which was good news because they have pharmacies.
Yeah,
and you could order it online too. So you know what? I don't know what you do about that. No, I agree with this legislation. I hope that it passes, but you can't. How do you even count abortions with people taking pills at their home that you never even know about?
You'd have to rely on the pharmaceutical companies to say to publicize or give you information how many pills they sold.
Apparently
but a lot of that.
Is every pill an abortion?
Well, the mifepristone is, right?
Yeah.
That's the purpose of it. But that's a good question, Tim, because you'd have to, maybe CVS would have to tell you, for example, I don't know if they sell it or not. I guess they would as a pharmacy. They would have to say, well, we sold this many pills.
Yeah.
And then you'd have to assume that everyone who bought one used one. But it is kind of an underground way.
I don't see how you're going to be able to stop that. Now he's got, what's the law? What would the law do?
It would prohibit the use of mifepristone for ending pregnancies. If passed, the legislation would withdraw FDA approval for the drug and classify its distribution for abortion as a violation of federal law.
Okay.
It's been used in 63% of all abortions in the U.S. currently, that according to the Guttmacher Institute. And according to the data, if you want to know how many abortions, you just take the ambulance calls times 90.
Oh,
10% of them are going to have serious health consequences. That's not a serious way to calculate it, but
right.
It's just showing you it's a dangerous, dangerous drug.
Because these women they kill their baby with this pill, and the abortion happens in their house, right?
Yes.
Or wherever they are.
Or wherever they are. It's just, oh my
that's
goodness.
That's just gross,
yeah,
too, to think about. But also, Ray, I was reading about this, and these women a lot of them don't know how far along they are.
Right.
It's supposed to be used a certain amount. If you go far enough along, you're not supposed to use it.
That's right.
But they don't know.
But they were taking it anyway, being 11 weeks or 10 weeks or whatever, and it was causing, you could die.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, from that kind of situation.
Yeah.
That you put yourself in. All right, you're listening. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to add, Tim, to what you said. It's a big deal that Walmart has said they're not going to sell.
Right.
It's that's not a small.
Kudos.
Kudos to the team at AFA and others who helped out. It's a big deal. Which just, I think, if we're going to win the battle about this abortion pill, I'm all for the legislation, right? But we've got to get some big corporations like Walgreens and CVS to join Walmart and say we are not going to carry this pill.
I'll try to find out before tomorrow. I guess we'll be live with this news show before next Monday. I'll try to find out where we are maybe with some of the other big pharmacies across the country. I'm guessing Walmart's a top 5 pharmacy in terms of the number of maybe top 3. I don't know.
I would think.
I'm thinking Walgreens is probably the largest, followed by CVS, followed by Walmart. That would be my guess without looking it up. In terms of the number of
it's got to be one of the biggest.
Yeah, the number of stores nationwide.
Well, I did look it up. CVS, Walgreens, and Health Mart are the largest pharmacies in the United States.
I've never heard
of Health Mart. But CVS is the largest.
They're larger than Walgreens?
Yeah.
Wow. That's surprising.
Walgreens is second. And
my list says Walmart is third, Kroger is fourth.
Okay, yeah, Kroger has a lot of pharmacies.
Too.
So, wow, I didn't know CVS was larger. How many stores does CVS have nationwide?
About 9,000.
Did it tell you?
It has 8,985, so
how many
just
does
about
Walgreens
9,000. Walgreens is just over 8,000. And then
so they're similar.
Yeah, and then Health Mart is 4,000. I'm trying to the state and territory with the most number of Health Mart locations is California. So that must be a West Coast pharmacy.
So I hadn't heard of them. But just looking down through there. Safeway Pharmacy.
That's under 1,000.
Really the 4 biggies would be Walgreens, CVS, not in that order, but Walmart, and then
and then Health Mart is down.
All right, next story, Steve.
Well, we have some clueless people when it comes to the pro-life law. Minnesota is considering a bill that would make a grain state, we name state flowers. Well, this would name a particular rice as the state grain, and they want to argue. They have a lawyer in there. Her name is Jessica Intermill, you're going to hear from, that is making the argument that it deserves, this rice deserves to be kept viable because it has a right to live.
This was an NCIS episode.
It seemed to be.
I remember it with Gibbs and the.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember.
And Donoso.
I remember this.
Cut 16.
First, this bill applies the legal inherent rights doctrine to a plant that has been in Minnesota since long before there was a Minnesota. That doctrine does not grant any right to wild rice. Rather, it recognizes that the plant's inherent right to live exists because it is alive.
Its inherent right to live exists because it is alive.
Okay, she used the expression, quote, rights to wild rice, end quote. Ray, this was a song back in the day.
In the day.
I think it was Wild Cherry.
The Eagles?
Wild Cherry.
Oh, Wild Cherry. You're going with the real song.
No, what in the world is she talking about, Steve? And then Ray can comment and make sense of it.
She is saying that this bill, that this grain, this rice, they have no right to control it or to get rid of it. In other words,
who's trying to get rid of the wild rice?
Well, they're trying to make it a special set aside in Minnesota. And they, she said,
what is that? What does that mean? Set aside.
I'll tell you who wants to get rid of
Wild rice.
Racists.
Yeah,
those
well, you got your
rice.
You got your white rice.
Yeah, we got so many things going on here now. We got so many problems.
Don't tell me you guys don't know that white rice supremacists do exist. You do know that, right? You're going to be naive about that.
You have to give me some credit for the white rice.
You did that. I'm clapping for you, brother. I'm giving you your flowers.
That was just right off the top of my head.
That was good. Okay.
No, listen. These are the kind of people who
wackadoodles.
Who have stopped nuclear power, who've stopped dams from being built because of the snail darter. And you remember that, the snail darter?
Yeah, I remember the snail darter.
And for
this 15 minutes of fame.
Yes. And this toad and this little bird, spotted owls, and yet Minnesota, I guarantee, this woman is in favor of abortion.
I won't
lie to you. This half hour, we've decided. I think it's unanimous among us. We're kicking California out.
Yeah. Done. Gone.
And see you, Minnesota. We're giving them to Canada. Okay, I'm sorry.
Trade them for Alberta.
Take in Alberta. We want Alberta. Right.
We can take your wild.
And a province to be named later.
Take your wild rice and take it north of the border right there. No, we have a lot of wonderful listeners in both those states, by the way. So they're good people.
Jan Markell.
Yeah, there are sane, good people in those states, but they're in the minority, evidently. When it comes to politics, at least.
So this woman was saying that rice has an inherent right to what? To life?
To existence.
Yeah. Let me see. I went to the next story here, but let me get this back here, and I'll tell you what.
We got about 2 minutes to go on the show today.
Well, can we move on to something? I'll send it to
we
you.
can come back to this story.
Okay.
It's a big story.
We'll come back to it. It'll be in the news.
This story's cooking.
I think
I see what you did there, Ray.
Ooh, I like that.
Go ahead.
This is good news for Tim. It turns out in a survey that a Southern accent is the most loved accent, popular accent in America. Not as in number of speakers.
I don't think I have one.
You don't have it just slips in every once in a while.
Ray's more Southern accent than I am, don't you think?
Well, yeah.
Well, this is
Ray grew up in the rural South. Go ahead.
Well, yeah.
2,000 Americans ranked the nation's most appealing voices. The Southern drawl came in number one.
I'm loving it.
So find out where the Boston accent comes in. When we back our car.
Does that ignore the Boston accent? Evidently ignore
7.
It's coming.
Okay, read them all then.
Yeah, read them all.
Southern American,
the most beloved accents.
Beloved. Right? Southern American, followed by Cajun, Louisiana.
Okay, good. Number 2.
New York City.
That's strange.
Then 4 is Miami. Then a general American or neutral accent, followed by California, and I don't know the difference between the two because I'm from California. I've been told I have a neutral accent. 7 is Boston, 8 is Northern Great Lakes, and 9 is Philadelphia. 10 is Appalachian.
What about Chicago? They have a distinct.
Not on the list.
Did they
might be on the list of bad.
Yeah, okay.
Unpopular. I don't have that list in front of me.
So Boston's number
7.
Yeah. Okay.
I should have behaved myself yesterday.
So it's annoying to a lot of people.
Oh, that doesn't say annoying.
Okay.
It just says in terms of being beloved, it's less
Southern
beloved.
accent. Southern accent, y'all. We're number 1.
So people know we're based in Mississippi and raised from Alabama, but maybe one day we're going to bring into our studio.
I know the employee you're talking about.
One of our employees who I've described as if you have a Southern accent, if you've heard a Southern accent, and this is a young lady or lady, then listen to that and then keep going south.
And that's her accent.
Keep going south and then go out in the sticks somewhere where the sun doesn't shine. And
she is the sweetest person.
She is.
And we tease her.
Just walked past our window.
We tease her to her face.
We do.
Folks.
She knows. She's good-natured about it.
Yes, she is.
She'll answer the phone. Hello.
I love the prayer requests.
Right. Hello. It's a 6-syllable word, people.
That's right.
We'll see you tomorrow.
God's hand has been upon this nation from the beginning, Evidence of our spiritual heritage is obvious and inspiring if you know where to look. For many years, the Wildmon family has led spiritual heritage tours to Washington, D.C. and Colonial Williamsburg. And this year, they're adding the city of Boston. With the help of historian Stephen McDowell of the Heritage Foundation, spiritual heritage tours in June and September will reveal God's amazing blessings upon the United States. In June, Tim Wildmon leads a tour of Washington, D.C., including George Washington's Mount Vernon. He'll lead another tour to Colonial Williamsburg in September. And Wesley and Walker will lead a tour to Boston, also in September. For dates, costs, and all the details, go to the website wildmangroup.com. That's wildmangroup.com. You'll see evidence of God's touch on our nation going back 250 years. Visit wildmangroup.com for all the information and to register, and we hope to see you on a spiritual heritage tour.
Without even seeing them show up, I could feel like the darkness.
Jamie Sanchez is another Christian business proprietor who has been targeted for his faith. His Drip Cafe was opened to serve and help the homeless of downtown Denver.
We believe sex outside of marriage and homosexuality is a sin in God's eyes. And the enemy and his minions decided to use that as a platform.
Jesus told us persecution would come.
I would see them, just the rage and the hate. I pictured them doing that at the foot of the cross to Jesus. And I just remembered what he said, "Forgive them, Father, they know not what they do." And so I had to position my heart that way.
The Jamie Sanchez story is one of the videos of the Impact series at stream.afa.net.
It's been a crazy, crazy ride.
See Jamie's story and much more at stream.